now cast eerie shadows, holding little immediate promise for Notre Dame. Lou Holtz faces a cold truth. The leaves have only begun to change their color, and yet his hopes for this season may very well be over. And what of Ron Paulus, the young quarterback who carried so much promise and so much pressure into this season? Now he must prove that he can carry this team, prove himself equal to the glory he's already received. Today, Notre Dame plays for pride, a task for which the Fighting Irish should be uniquely qualified. Indian summer sunlight glinting off the Golden Dome, and Notre Dame traditions remain intact in this sad week on campus this morning. Students filing, as always, past the bust of Newt Rockne and rubbing the Rock's nose for good luck on this day of confrontation in Notre Dame Stadium. NBC Sports presents the battle between the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and the Cougars of Brigham Young University. This college football game is brought to you by the United States Postal Service. And hello again, I'm Jim Lampley along with Todd Christensen as we welcome you to South Bend for the game between the Fighting Irish and Quarterback University. Brigham Young's long tradition for great quarterbacks, Todd, extended this year in the person of John Walsh.
And interestingly enough, Jim, John Walsh may be the best pro prospect they've had in quite a time. But interestingly enough, too, the local people have yet to get the flavor of John Walsh and really appreciate his skills. Lavelle Edwards addressed that.
I've been amazed at a number of people that just haven't bought on to John Walsh yet. And John Walsh, at this point in time in his career, is every bit as good as any of the quarterbacks we've had, and he's surpassed, some of them in terms of what he's done.
And Jim, for someone who is considered by many experts to be possibly the first pick of the 1995 draft, that is curious indeed.
That's if he elects to come out. He is, of course, a junior. He has the privilege of operating in the Brigham Young offense with an asset that most of his great predecessors at quarterback didn't have, and that is a pro-quality running back.
That's right. Jamal Willis has really provided for them some balance, rushing for an average of 100 yards per game coming into this contest. It's doubtful as to whether or not he will measure up to those statistics, but it's vital that he provides some balance so the Notre Dame defenders are not allowed the opportunity to pin their ears back and simply rush the passer.
Indeed, part of the challenge for the Fighting Irish today to look ahead rather than to look back at last week's disastrous loss to Boston College. Head coach Lou Holtz promised a more intense atmosphere, a bigger challenge for his team this week, and here's how he elaborated on that for us.
Well, I think you do what you feel the situation warrants. I think in the best interest of the football team, we needed to pick up the intensity of the practice and put a little bit more pressure on a lot of people, and I think it was a well-placed pressure.
So much of what happens this year at Notre Dame revolves around the fledgling quarterback, Ron Paulus. What will that well-placed Holtz pressure mean to him?
I think really, Jim, that's the big question today is how well he is going to react to adversity. Last week, the worst game of his career, 5 for 21, absolutely atrocious with 2 interceptions. Is he the great quarterback that's going to measure up? Is he going to bounce back from that adversity? Today is going to go a long ways towards whether or not he can do that.
All right. Capacity crowd is always on hand and ready for the entry of the two teams onto the field. And first, the Cougars of Brigham Young in their second appearance in Notre Dame Stadium. An interesting statistical note on BYU coach Lavelle Edwards, 8th winningest active coach with 202 career wins. Never in his quarter century as a head coach has Edwards played against a school 3 times without scoring a win. And today marks the 3rd meeting against Notre Dame. The Irish won the first 2. And now onto the field, the Irish and Lou Holtz. It's BYU against number 17 Notre Dame. The kickoff when we return to Notre Dame Stadium in just a moment. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. We bring you back live to Notre Dame Stadium. Jim Lapley and Todd Christensen upstairs in the booth. On the field, as always, our man John Dockery. Doc?
Thank you, Jim. In the pregame warm-up, the Irish were wired and fired, but in a very quiet, self-contained, kind of focused manner. Some of the players were saying, hey, we got business to take care of today. Of course, early in the week, Lou Holtz got his team attention after the embarrassment after Boston College by calling a 6 a.m. meeting Monday morning to watch the films. After that, they went out to practice. They had shoulder pads and helmets, but the popping was far more intense and serious than a normal Monday practice. That's the way it's been all week long, as Lou Holtz demanded a return to Irish football, and that means hard-nosed, tough, physical style of play, as if saying to BYU, hey, here we come, stop us if you can.
All right, thanks a lot, Doc. A quick look at weather conditions today. A little bit muggy around the stadium, 63 degrees, and the temperature's dropping right now, humidity 70%. We don't expect rain during the course of the football game, though perhaps it will begin this evening. Wind light out of the southeast. Senior kicker David Lauder will kick it away for BYU, which won the toss and deferred its decision to the second half. Number 5 at the goal line for Notre Dame is Emmett Mosley, sophomore tailback out of Aurora, Colorado. Defensive back downfield to make the tackle for BYU. Fighting Irish have reshuffled the offensive line in the wake of last week's pass protection disaster against Boston College. Only Mike McGlynn remaining in the same position today that he occupied in week 1 against Northwestern. Backs and receivers changes there also. Beckton, Zellers, and Miller all out, replaced by Kinder, Edwards, and Stafford coming into today's game. Down to give is to Kinder. He's met after a very short gain by number 97, Randy Brock, a senior defensive end out of Rexburg, Idaho. Here's the front 7 for the BYU Cougars. Brock at the top of the list made the tackle. Shane Muirbrook, the middle linebacker, is the leading tackler on the Cougar defense. And in the secondary, great human story surrounds Donnell Reed, a kid from the rough streets of Oakland. When they go into the nickel, James Higgins will be the 5th defensive back for BYU. Second down, 11 yards to go after a loss of 1 on the first down. This time, with a big hole across the right side, and he's near the first down, across the 45 to about the 47-yard line.
This is what Notre Dame wants to establish is their running game early on, and it contained by the strong safety wasn't there. Good job at the point of the attack by the weak side of the offensive line for Notre Dame.
Feature on Randy Kinder coming up at halftime, so you Fighting Irish fans who want to know more about the man who comes in with 4 consecutive 100-plus yard rushing games. Stick with us. Notre Dame doctors tell us along the sideline, incidentally, that Lee Beckton, expected to miss today's game with his injury, is in fact dressed and could conceivably play. As you look at the season numbers on Edwards, who has inherited the fullback job from the injured Larry Zellers. There's a look at Beckton, hoping to get into the game today. Kinder steps left and finds a hole, gain of about 4. He's stopped by Scott Albrecht, the outside linebacker from Midland, Michigan.
I think early on in the season, when you take a look at Randy Kinder, you mentioned Lee Beckton, his 4 straight 100-yard games. I think that's probably the reason why he's not playing, is because Kinder really has been effective. The problems for Notre Dame and losing last week had nothing to do with Kinder, who had 140-plus yards.
And the Irish clearly intent on establishing the run game early. Get a gain of about 3. It'll be third down 3. Muirbrook, number 46, again reacting over to help with the stop.
At the point of attack, the blue shirts, take a look at how they take between the tackles. They have the opportunity here, and they push off the white shirts. You can see in the interior, they're 3 yards off the ball before they make the tackle. That's all well and good to make the hits. But if the initial hit is 4 yards downfield, that means the Notre Dame offensive line is establishing what they want.
Third down 3. They need to get the football to the 38 for a first down. Hesitates there. He's inside the 20. Runs the BYU secondary. It is a 38-yard touchdown run. Randy Kinder. Six-play drive, all on the ground, 63 yards in the drive. A 41-yard touchdown payoff by Kinder. Irish erase. Over from the loss to Boston College. Stephen Schreiner kicks it through for the extra point. It's 7-0 Notre Dame. Randy Kinder with another hot start, 7-0. There are the vital stats in South Bend. 12:15 to go in the first quarter. Notre Dame scores on a 63-yard, all-on-the-ground drive on its first possession. Randy Kinder with the payoff from 41 yards out. It is 7-0 Irish. South Bend steps up for his first kickoff ever with the Fighting Irish. And that is fumbled by Jason Cooper. Loose football at the 11-yard line. And the officials are saying that the Irish have it. Number 49 is the initial focus man on the football. Jason Cooper was the man who tried to catch it and bobbled it forward.
Jimmy just playing good safety. He's shielding his eyes right here at the last minute. He just can't see it, and it actually bounces off his foot. Once it goes in that direction, of course, the wedge for Brigham Young is heading upfield, so it's nothing but blue shirts there to make the recovery. Misdirection off the toe of his foot. That's a terrible, terrible error. Big break for Notre Dame.
And as clearly you can see, it was not Collins, but rather number 47, Bill Matulis, the freshman linebacker out of Toronto. Get outside, he stopped for no gain. Let's take a look back at the 41-yard TD run for Randy Kinder.
But Pollock opts to take off here, and in the middle, Muirbrook decides to make a matador move on the inside. That is just too much for the defense, and as a result, a missed tackle by Hale, and Kinder is off to the races.
And this time he gets about 5 before Scott Albrecht makes the stop for Brigham Young.
Did a pretty good job that time, too, forcing Albrecht to make a decision. In this case, he backpedaled a little bit, trying to play both, and that enabled Paulus to cut upfield and get the 5.
Now, third down 4. It looks as though the Irish will go double tight end. Loose football back near the 20-yard line, and it's going to be a big loss, bringing up 4th down and a likely field goal try.
Well, at the point of attack, this is where Paulus, he flips the ball just a little bit too hard. Attacking right there from the side. Good play, and forcing it in that case was Stan Ross, outside linebacker. He's the one that forces the errant toss, and as a result, it's a retry field goal.
Walk out on Honolulu, Hawaii, misses the field goal try to the right. It would have been a 37-yarder. It becomes instead a wasted opportunity for Notre Dame. So after Schroffner's miss, Brigham Young will have the football when we come back.
Charles Stafford has a little problem with Zadoveski's snap. You can see here right at the end he bobbles it, isn't able to get it up quite as well as he would have liked, and I think that certainly contributed to that ball going wide right. And as a result, that young man Jason Cooper being consoled there has to feel a lot better about things now that his turnover did not turn into points.
Stafford's appearance as the holder, yet another personnel change for Notre Dame. Flip card lists backup quarterback Tom Cruise as the regular holder. Yesterday, head coach Lou Holtz promised us a play-by-play man's nightmare and said buy a program. So far, he's been truly good. First down for John Walsh and the BYU Cougars. And the first play from scrimmage. Oh, catch! Sees a great catch by Jamal Willis out across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Pick up a 26 yards on the play.
What a catch by Willis. And this is something that Brigham Young really wants to integrate into their offense because of the fact they feel that Willis on a linebacker is a mismatch. Trailing him is Justin Goheen. He just can't run with him. Willis with the acrobatic one-handed grab, setting up BYU in good field position and giving them something to get motivated with.
Here's Willis from tailback with the football, and he has a gain of maybe a yard before Ronaldo Wynn made the stop for Notre Dame. Offensive line for BYU, the big name there, number 70, the right guard, Evan Pilgrim, preseason All-America, and lining up next to him, another All-WAC player in Eli Herring. There are the backs and receivers with Walsh, the terrific running back Willis, and Mike Johnston enters the game when the Cougars go to 3 wide. Bryce Bowman, injured much of the year, is the big play at wide receiver. Rolling away from pressure. To run for it. He's going to be pulled down from behind on a good tackle by number 60, Brett Berry. Notre Dame Fighting Irish today, the front seven lining up in a 4-3 look, a change for the Irish. Wynn and Berry, both previously outside linebackers, now playing down as defensive ends. In the secondary, the key guy is Bobby Taylor, an outstanding athlete at left corner, and playing with a cast on his right hand to protect a broken hand. When they go to 6 defensive backs, those are the 2 who will enter. Tracy Davis and Tracy Brown. Number 96 with the catch is tight end Chad Lewis. LaShane Sadler, a former safety man, moved up to outside linebacker today in the revamped Irish defense. Makes the stop and it's short of a first down.
Man-for-man coverage. They came with the blitz. Walsh able to read and get it out to his tight end. A good tackle by Sadler, preventing the bigger Lewis from getting the first down.
Position. Creating a free opportunity for the Cougars to down it inside the 10-yard line, and that will be the situation when we come back. Back live in Notre Dame Stadium after a 39-yard punt by BYU's Adam Boardman. Notre Dame starts with the football at its own 8-yard line. 2 previous possessions. About 3 across the 10 to the 11 before Stan Ross made the tackle for BYU. We asked Ron Paulus in the wake of last week's difficult performance against Boston College what it was like to intermingle with other students on campus this week.
It was tough walking around campus. You know, you walk around and you see your friends and all the rest of the people, and you just feel like you let them down, and they're counting on you so much for the big win. And, you know, I personally, I was embarrassed to walk around. You know, I think the whole team was a little bit embarrassed of our performance. You know, it wasn't like us to play that way. It's a shame that it had to happen, but, you know, we're coming back now, and we're going to prove that we can play football still.
And the first passing attempt of the game for Paulus is caught by Emmett Mosley. Tackled by Greg Steele of BYU, but almost enough for the first down. They'll be 1 yard short, and it'll be 3rd and 1. And there is cornerback Mel Reed, number 19 of BYU. It's taking him so long. With a knee. He had high hopes. And that's a great disappointment for him. Kinder, 7th carry of the game, 59 yards. yards as he gets a pickup of 2. Stan Ross on the tackle. Another first down for Notre Dame. Jamel Reed, product of a difficult background in Oakland, California. He's already lost 2 brothers to gunshot death in his life. At one point during his high school years was homeless. He regards it as a miracle that he made it far enough to get a college football scholarship to play at BYU, and says it's like the fulfillment of a dream. Come and play in Notre Dame Stadium. Moment over. Flags down on first down for Notre Dame.
McGlynn moved a little bit there, and they'll bring that one back 5.
And Lee Beckton, number 4, has come onto the field.
Red ball foul. False start. 5-yard penalty against the offense. Still first down.
Lou Holtz was quite unequivocal in telling us yesterday that Lee Beckton, who has been bothered for the past several weeks with a groin injury, would not play today. Beckton's first carry in a few weeks, and Randy Brock was there to stop him. And now Jamel Reed goes off the field for BYU as they become 1 number thinner in the secondary. 25 tackles for the year. He's been the most aggressive of BYU's corners on the season.
And for someone who had looked really, he was talking about how as a youngster all his life the opportunity to play in a place that he'd seen on television. This has really got to be a blow. He's come so far from the streets of Oakland to now. I just know there has to be something that's
looking for Mosley. Football sails away harmlessly, and now we'll await the call from WAC referee Bill McCabe.
Oscar McBride moved a little bit too quick, and I'm guessing here the BYU will decline that and make it 3rd and 15.
A motion penalty against Notre Dame.
Ball is chased out of the pocket by Pitts and Brock of BYU. So now as they get ready to go on 3rd down and 16. Into the game comes number 18.
Illegal motion. Penalty against the offense. The penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Good tip time. Sakai Champion, number 18, for the free safety. Moved to receiver this week. Will be split to the top of the screen on 3rd down and 15. Grant Mays is up there. Any time for Paulus until now. Finally reacting upfield to collect the sack is middle linebacker Shea Muirbrook. Travis Hall was there initially on the pressure. When Paulus stepped away from him, he got hit.
Number 46 right here, Muirbrook in the middle of your screen, or was. Now he is spying the quarterback. He's actually in a situation where he wants to cover the running back coming out of the field, but no backs come out, and as a result, he is free to come after him. There he is right here. He's spying, waiting for running back to come into his zone, but nobody comes. There's Lee Beckton, who tries to get a piece of him, but he can't.
So now Brian Ford, the sophomore part of Notre Dame, stands near the back of the end zone. What a kick. Great pass. And number 84, Mike Johnston with the football for BYU, tiptoes down the sideline across the 50 into Notre Dame territory where the Cougars will have it when we come back. 10 years ago, the eyes of the nation focused on the Holiday Bowl as Brigham Young took on Michigan with the national championship on the line. They were down a touchdown in the 4th quarter, but this 13-yard touchdown pass from Robbie Bosco to Kelly Smith climaxed the comeback that gave BYU a 24-17 win. They went 13-0 on the season, won the national title. Bosco is now the quarterback coach for the Cougars, working under LaBelle Edwards. Good position for Brigham Young as we come back. Pitching to number 15, Hema Amuli. The fullback throws downfield on the option pass, and it's almost collected by number 42, Tim Nowatzki. Tracy Graham there to cover for Notre Dame.
Well, Sean Wooden's not fooled the cornerback here. They go with the deep pitch, and Wooden is all over Nowatzki. Take a look at the ball, kind of a dying duck there. Look at number 22. He's all over Nowatzki. You could argue a little bit of bumping before the ball was thrown. But Wooden makes a nice play.
Doman, the intended receiver for BYU, and now Walsh will operate on 3rd down 10.
One of the things that they've done a good job of is spreading the wealth around. Here, 6 games, and look at the distribution, the number of people involved. You've actually had, of these 8 people here, every one of them has had a reception of 30 yards or longer. That's what you call balance.
Blitzing, Cougars pick it up against one-on-one coverage. Walsh is unable to get the football to Itulamili.
LaRon Moore was in man-for-man coverage, and I believe that's what the flag is going to be on. I was very surprised there at 3rd and 10 that they're going to come with a blitz. They came with 7 people, had man-for-man, and now they're going to pay for it because of the interference. Here's LaRon Moore, man for man. If he turns around here and looks for the ball, it's not going to get caught, but he never does. And right there, he's all over it, inhibits Mealy from getting his opportunity to catch the ball.
Mealy rapidly becoming a big play guy for BYU as you look at Lou Holtz's acid reaction. It was Mealy's 68-yard catch and run in the closing minutes that beat Fresno State for BYU in a close one, 32-30 last week. There's LaRon Moore, the senior out of Indianapolis, who was called for the pass interference. It moves the football 15 yards from the 47 down to the 32-yard line, where BYU will have first down.
First down, 22.
Walsh took advantage of the time passage there to go to the sideline and have a brief word with the offensive staff. And he's collected from behind by number 60, Burt Berry.
John Walsh has the ball in his, he doesn't have it in the right hand. What I mean by the right hand, in this case, it's the left hand. And as a result, he can't get the hand up. Take a look at his hand right there. He goes with the right hand. Uh-oh. That's not the hand that's supposed to hand the ball off. It's supposed to be in the left. And as a result, he has to cut upfield and do what he can with a busted play.
So Willis literally turn around as if to say, wait a minute. I'm supposed to have the football, John. Why didn't you give it to me?
Walsh wants to pad his rushing stats, Steve.
He needs to. He's about minus 198 at this moment. Second down, 10 yards to go. Walsh gets it away. It's incomplete. The fullback came behind Lully. Lashane Sadler, number 2, there to cover for Notre Dame.
And one of the strong suits that they say with regards to John Walsh is his accuracy. That's just a flat route to the fullback, and he overthrew it. And he's coming over to Haimuli to explain to him where he wanted him to be, but clearly that should have been an easy. It should have been an easy completion. Now they face 3rd and 10.
Did you note the score? Auburn leading Florida 22-14 in the 3rd quarter in Gainesville. What if the Auburn Tigers go 11-0 again?
The delay route, letting people clear out right here. He comes around, spins wide open. Got to make that catch. No excuse.
So Mealy suffers the after effects of the drop.
Lines up.
As David Lauder, left-footed kicker for Brigham Young, comes on to try to nail the field goal. Lauder on the season is 0 for 3 outside. Season, and the Cougars are
opportune time to make one, and as you mentioned, he had not had one over 40 yards, and that one wouldn't have made it much farther than that. He's an excited young man. 6 for 11 coming into this game. Ben Coates is well on his way to breaking my record for receptions in a season as a tight end. He has 46 in 6 games. He is absolutely tremendous play.
Best marks for total catches and yardage, and of course, Todd, you're rooting for him, aren't you?
Absolutely. You know what they say, Jim? Records are made to be broken.
I'm glad we got that one in. Lauder to kick it off for BYU. 44 still to go in the first quarter. This one goes past Stafford. Mosley lets it go between his legs, and now Mosley a little bit of trouble. It's past the 15 out to the 18-yard line. Some hesitant judgment on the part of the Irish kick return team, and they'll wind up 2 yards short of the 20-yard line to start their offense. James Higgins was downfield to make the stop for BYU. Lou Holtz with a brief reminder to Emmett Mosley on bending his knees and dipping down to handle the rock. Company. Back in the game at tailback after the brief Beck interference. Stopped by John Pollock, the free safety, after a pickup of about 3 yards.
Certainly there's a lot of pressure on this man after the loss to Boston College. And this was his response. I made a commitment to myself and our players, coaches in Notre Dame. We're going to get this thing turned around. We're going to get back on top a lot earlier than people think. I really feel that this is a man who is determined to do just that. And it's very strange that the standard has to be set in a university like this where it just feels like an argument if they finish the season, win the rest of the games, and win a ball game, there's still going to be those that consider it a disappointment.
Mark Edwards with the carry on 2nd down 7. He's got a couple. Shane Muirbrook with the stop. It'll be 3rd down 5.
I think it's the sort of situation he revels in, though, Jim. You know, his back is against the wall, and people are talking about how badly things are going. This is when he responds. This is his opportunity to show that he can coach these young men, get them back to where they're supposed to be.
So he got in records that may be broken, and his back is against the wall within the same 1.5-minute time frame. Are they going to play one game at a time from here on out?
No, but you know what they say, it's very good tough.
On 3rd down, the Irish elect to run, and BYU not fooled. Defensive tackle John Ross reacting upfield to stop Randy Kinder for a loss, and Notre Dame will be forced to punt.
Well, the momentum has certainly shifted since Notre Dame could not take advantage of the turnover on the kickoff return. It's been all BYU since then. And as you mentioned, Ross coming from behind, great backside pursuit, forces Notre Dame to punt.
Ryan Ford's first kick went for 50 yards. This time he's got a tiny bit more breathing room, standing at his 6-yard line. And Johnston will let this one bounce and then pick it up. And he's going to go down in short order. Holds on to the football despite the bee swarm of hits. Jeremy Now, number 58, was downfield to make the first hit, and he was followed by a swarm of Irish tacklers. Now there's a flag down after the 42-yard punt.
Not a good decision on the part of Johnston.
Split crew here from the WAC and the Mid-American Conference. That man, the referee, Bill McCabe, is from the WAC. Quickly, let's go to John Dockery.
Yeah, Jim, let me just tell you something. You know, the offense and the defense have had a lot of changes. After that embarrassment up at Boston College, Lou made a lot of changes. Some obvious, like the offensive line and the defensive line, but some not so obvious. If you walk along the sidelines here and look at the number of players, you know, it's hard to tell that there are about a dozen less players on the sideline. Normally at home, they dress about 100 plus. Well, today, they dressed about 90, and it's Lou Holtz's way of getting the attention of his team. There's about a dozen guys who are not here because he simply says, hey, if you're not willing to play and to practice the way I want you to, the way a Notre Dame team should do, well, then you can't dress and represent the university. So he's gotten their attention in a lot of obvious and sometimes more subtle ways. Back to you.
First down from the 37-yard line. Walsh, the first one to throw deep, and comes back underneath to a secondary receiver. It's Bryce Doman, number 11, Sean Wooden, and Jeremy Sample there to stop him at after a pickup of 14 yards and a BYU first down.
And Jim, as you mentioned at the outset, this is the man they want to get the ball to. They believe that this is their go-to receiver, the guy that can come with things under pressure. Makes a nice adjustment there. Wooden actually had him in good coverage, but Dolman breaks off his route to come back to his quarterback and make the catch.
There's the identifier on Bryce Dolman. Fighting injury this year, only 10 catches. Still a prominent target for Walden. First down begins to Hima Haimuli. And the junior fullback out of Provo has a short gain before being stopped by Jeremy Now.
I think that he's on the sidelines, Jim, because he hurt himself. It looked like he was messing with his shoulder or his wrist, because certainly he would be in the game if he was completely healthy. Bryce Dolman, returned missionary from Salt Lake City right at the end. Let's see how he lands on it. Yeah, he does. He lands on his shoulder and his wrist a little bit awkwardly.
One of 47 Cougar players to have already served Mormon missions. 32 players on the beach. Incomplete pass. Berry, number 60, got a hand on it to alter the path of the ball.
Burt Berry, the leading sacker for Notre Dame, with 5 coming into this game. Great outside speed, supposedly listed as a 4.35 40, which I'll have to play the role of Doubting Thomas. I'd have to see that one. But nonetheless, he's arguably their best pass rusher. Now he's getting an opportunity in this game because of the revamped defense. They're down 7 yards. There's no rhythm there, Jim. He's still
and you have to wonder, Todd, as the BYU passing attack looks slightly out of rhythm, are they surprised by defensive coordinator Bob Davies' changed defensive set, the new 4-3 for the Irish?
Well, I think you're right. I think that what the idea here clearly is to pressure the passer. They've done a good job this year of sacking teams, more so than they did last year, but they've been giving up the ball. Clearly, that's not an issue today. They want to get it as far as
and Scott Silliman are the men who are deployed to return. They let it roll free, and for the second time in the game, the Cougars have a chance to pin the Irish inside their 10-yard line. 40-yard punt for Boardman, highly effective as Notre Dame will be starting on offense at its own 6-yard line. And we'd like to take a moment now to welcome those viewers watching today's game on NBC Super Channel. It's available in 60 million homes in 32 countries across Europe. We know that much of the audience is made up of American tourists, along with American servicemen and European fans, and we hope that viewers of all three categories are enjoying what they're seeing in the game today. Paulus fumbles. And the Irish were able to get on the football. Fullback Mark Edwards making the key recovery. First quarter comes to a close. Notre Dame leads 7-3. The Irish still pinned deep in their territory. That's how they'll start the second quarter. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. We bring it back live to South Bend, Indiana, Notre Dame Stadium, where the Irish lead BYU 7-3 as the second quarter begins. 19 offensive plays so far for Notre Dame, 17 rushes, only 2 passes thrown by Ron Policy's 1 for 2 for 6 yards. And after Policy's fumble lost 3 yards on the first play of this series, it's second down 13. Safe throw out of the end zone is caught by Charles Stafford up at the 18-yard line for a Notre Dame first down.
That's the operative word, Jim. It was a safe throw. They go with the rollout, cut down the defensive end, and he smiled. He likes that. This is a little bit unexpected here. At the beginning of the season, everybody saw on national television Paulus over 291 yards and 4 touchdowns. They're handing him Heisman trophies and carving his bust in camp. Since then, he's come back to reality. And, of course, as we mentioned at the top of the show, the worst game of his career last year against Boston College. I think that has forced Lou Holtz to alter some of the game plans that he had earlier in the season. Now forced to run the ball.
At the top of the screen, Randy Kinder gets the call coming back to the short side. And Kinder has a gain of about 3 across the 20 to the 21 with flags down.
very happy with this. This is, I believe, now the 4th penalty that's either been an offside or a motion penalty, and really that's just a matter of practice. He talks about the intensity of the practices this week, and nonetheless, a team that's been together now through 6 games to have that number of penalties this early in the game is unconscionable.
Field position has been tough on the Irish so far.
Illegal procedure. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Penalty against the offense. The penalty is declined. 2nd down.
So make it 2nd down, 8 yards to go after the 2-yard gain for Kinder.
And Jim, this is showing a lot of confidence on the part of the defense for Brigham Young. Instead of coming up 1st and 15, now they have 2nd and a long 7. They're starting to get a little bit of confidence in terms of being able to deal with the Notre Dame running game.
Across midfield into BYU territory, and he almost gets away for good from number 27, Jamie Cook. It took Cook 15 yards to bring Edwards down.
Jimmy stepped out at the 40, and he'll come back to that point. But the thing that's impressive, take a look in the misdirection. They're just going to let him go, and he runs what's called a swing route, and they lose him on the play-action fake. Nobody stays with Edwards. It appears that it was Muirbrook's man, number 46. He just lets him go completely unimpeded, and you're right. He's like a runaway freight train. Just can't bring him down. See right there. There's where he steps out of bounds, and the official marks it. But what a great effort by number 44. Maybe he didn't step out.
Not so sure. He comes back to the 40-yard line. It was a gain of 39 yards on the pass to Paulus to Edwards. And now the give is to Edwards. And this time he's met by the rock-hard middle of the BYU defense, Shea Muirbrook, first there on the tackle. Let's take another look and see if that foot touches White.
Take a look at the right foot right here. Take a look at where it steps out. Right there. No, clearly he's still in bounds. He's still in bounds. Good 2-3 inches right on that spot.
And that became a 17-yard break for BYU. A little bit better about the long ride until this time Paulus drops straight back and is matched. Scott Albrecht and Randy Brock, 47 and 97, in there together. And that's the kind of protection that gave Lou Holtz fits a week ago against Boston College.
Well, Randy Brock has been playing some outstanding football. And take a look at the protection here. A lot of times what happens, Jim, is that when you get an offensive line like this who has not been together, they're not in sync in terms of their specific positions. Brock just comes completely free in the middle of the line, and Paulus has no place to go.
Third down, Edwards is off the field, replaced at fullback. Marcus Thorne in Minneapolis. Paulus fakes to Kinder, then looks down the middle of the field and throws short, intended for Charles Stafford.
They had exactly what they wanted. They had the play-action fake. That time, tremendous protection. Paulus just did not step up and get the ball to Stafford, who was there for the first down. Take a look at the middle of the field. No, BYU goes to their zone defense, and Stafford, look at the gap in the middle. He's completely wide open. Nobody's in his face, but he just can't deliver it.
This time he stands at his 36-yard line. Mike Johnston, number 84, deep to receive for BYU, standing at his 10. Johnston, with a fairly subtle fair catch signal, nevertheless is given credit for it at the 15. 12 minutes, 31 seconds to go before halftime in South Bend. Notre Dame bottled up deep in its territory through much of the first half, nevertheless leads 7-3 over BYU. John Walsh, the BYU quarterback, and Betty and Sonny Walsh, who made the trip.
Well, I'm thinking that they're waiting for him to get into some rhythm. So far he has. As you can see there, 3 for 8, only 46 yards. His strong suit is his accuracy. And give credit to Bob Brady for confusing the early.
Perhaps getting more comfortable, completes this one to Willis, and Willis is across the 30 to the 31-yard line before LaRon Moore, number 9, made the stop for Notre Dame. 16-yard pickup.
You mentioned comfortable, very safe throw. He gets Willis to come out and just do a squat route. Watch the move that he makes to do more with it than he should have. Just looks to the left, very basic route. Get the ball to him in flat and let your runner do the rest. Little juke there. Full sample, gets into the secondary, shows some excellent speed, setting up BYU in good field position at the 32.
220. Down the middle. Complete to Itulamili, number 95. Justin Goheen made the stop for Notre Dame. And BYU begins to bring the ball-controlled passing attack to bear.
Well, 2 weeks ago when Notre Dame played Stanford, this was something that the Stanford Cardinal was very effective with. The short passing game, the so-called West Coast offense, dinking and dumping it up the field, keeping the Notre Dame offense off the field. That's something now that Brigham Young has opted to do, as opposed to some of the intermediate and longer routes that they had earlier in the game.
Second down, 2. Couldn't quite get there quickly enough. Justin Goheen, first to make the stop for Notre Dame.
One of the things that they talk about is that you just cannot underrate speed, and the speed of Notre Dame, particularly in the secondary, that looked like that was a sure first down. Take a look at the tackling pursuit. Haimuli actually gets to the outside. He bounces out, thinking that he has some running room. And look at the pursuit of Notre Dame from the interior. First Justin Goheen and Kinnan Tatum, and then Grassmanis all get a piece of it. You know what I find interesting? Yesterday we were chatting with the referee, Jim McCabe from the WAC. He kept mentioning to us, Jim, the fact that being in the WAC conference, they're used to 3rd and 1, meaning it's a passing down. So when they went into the halfback and he was plunged over, I was actually surprised. I thought they were going to throw there.
Probably McCabe was surprised, too.
We've seen some wild ones out there.
Willis moves the chain. Got a substantial gain before Goheen and Moore are there to help with the stop.
John Walsh audibles out here. He sees the blitz coming and he's able to get the ball out to Mealy. One thing that's happening here, Jim, that Brigham Young has to be aware of is that even though he hasn't been sacked yet, he has been taking some shots. It came with 6 that time, and he took a shot in the back, getting the ball out to Mealy. That could take its toll in the 3rd and 4th quarter.
That's 3 of 3 in this possession. Second down, he throws down the middle, in and out of the hands of Mike Johnston. Goheen was there along with Sample, and the ball lingered tantalizingly in the air for a moment before dropping to the turf.
Well, that's 2 very prominent times now where they've had drop passes. Johnston just sits down in the middle, got the zone coverage. Bobby Taylor lets him go right in the middle, right in his hands. He drops it.
That makes it 3rd down and 2. Football just inside Notre Dame territory at the 39. Willis perhaps again checking up. BYU receiver Tim Nowatzki is met by Bobby Taylor,
and he's going to be short. Bobby Taylor does a great job of running completely across the field when they go with the motion. The audible not only to the play but to the motion for Nowatzki, and Bobby Taylor ran stride for stride with him and does a nice job of making a stick on him just before he can get to the marker.
That's a mark of Taylor's confrontational mentality. Defensive coordinator Bob Davie said he's the kind of guy who wants to cover the best guy on the other side, head on head all day.
But unlike other cornerbacks, Jim, he's not one-dimensional. He's not a guy that just covers. He's a guy that hits too, as witnessed by that last one.
See Bill McCabe indicating they're a foot short. And the question now, do they go for it, try to sustain the drive, or do they take advantage of another chance to pin Notre Dame deep?
Take a look at number 21. He actually gets bumped by Gohee, but at the last minute, the quarterback breaks on the ball. And look at the hit that prevents him from getting his momentum forward to get the first down. When he hits it right between the shoulder blades, that prevents his body motion from getting forward. Great play by number 21.
And on fourth and a foot, John Walsh will stay on the field. So the Cougars appear to be going for the first down. Coming onto the field, Hypo McGuire, number 80, no doubt bringing a play call to Walsh.
I'll be honest with you, Jim, I'm very surprised here just because of the fact that they've been so effective earlier in the game, punting and pinning them down inside the 10. Why would they want to give Notre Dame the opportunity to be excited here? But it doesn't matter. He snuck it in.
Maybe Edwards likes the momentum they're beginning to generate with the ball control passing. You saw Walsh sneaking for the first down behind James Johnson and Tim Hanshaw on the left side of the offensive line, and he got there. Interesting choice. They are two heavily decorated offensive linemen, 290-pound Evan Pilgrim and 335-pound Eli Herring are on the right side. Perhaps they guessed that the Irish would suspect that they were going there.
I think you're probably right, but then again, I think it's a situation where he came up under center and just said, hey, as soon as I touch your rear end, give me the ball and I'll find a gap, and that's what happened.
Running inside, 10 minutes left in the first half. BYU keeps the drive alive at the Notre Dame 46-yard line.
Again, the blitz.
Pick it up, and Walsh has plenty of time to find Nowatzki. And Nowatzki's down to the 30-yard line before Taylor and McGee make the stop. 16-yard reception for the man who is experiencing a homecoming today, Tim Nowatzki from Michigan City, Indiana.
But give the offensive line credit. Here's the man coverage. A little bit of a push there on Taylor that he got away with. Taylor comes back and makes the play. But the offensive line is the one that created that. Notre Dame comes with 7. They pick it up, gives him plenty of time. Doesn't give as much time as he would like, but Walsh hangs in there. Finds Nowatzki.
29 catches on the air for Nowatzki. Down Haimuli gets the call and gets inside the 25 to about the 23. LaShane Sadler, number 2, made the stop for Notre Dame.
Well, inevitably what happens is when you start to pass successfully, the running game is going to follow. The front four of Notre Dame is in their pass rush mode with their ears back and coming. Brigham Young able to take advantage on it with a delayed drop to Haimuli.
Haimuli's earned it more than Lachie Haimuli. Was a mainstay on the national championship team in '84. It is his BYU career rushing record that Jamal Phillips hopes to break within the next few games. Once again, second down is the blitz. Opportunity throw. Bobby Taylor with the coverage against Bryce Doman.
And Walsh wishes he had that one back. So close. He has exactly what he wanted. He has him on the fade route. They come with the blitz. He's got man for man. Bobby Taylor, a great player, but Doman has him beat by a step, lays out, and can't quite come up with it.
The drive that began at the BYU 15-yard line, and now the Cougars will use a timeout. So with 8 minutes, 7 seconds remaining in the first half, BYU will talk, and we'll come back. As we welcome you back to South Bend, BYU is hoping to complete a second quarter drive, which has already taken them 61 yards. Notre Dame may need a big defensive play, a big hit to stop the drive. And Todd, if I went down there and made that hit, what would I get for it?
Hey, Jim, I'm so glad you asked. You'd get yourself a dog bone right here for being a really vicious defensive attacker.
Bob Davie, defensive coordinator, he's the man who gives out the dog bones. And Mike Turgevac, who works under Davie, is the keeper of the bones. There they are on the sideline. Some Irish backers feel as though it's not the world's most tasteful way to decorate defensive players, but Davie says, hey, all in good fun. Meanwhile, 3rd down 4 for John Walsh and the Cougars, and there is the big hit that the Irish were looking for. Number 42, Alton Maiden, reserve outside linebacker from Dallas, comes on to pick up the sack.
And in that case, he didn't go with the blitz. He just went with the 4 rushers, and he was rewarded by, you mentioned Maiden, somebody who had very little playing time coming into this game, comes from the backside, just beats the block, now forces another long field goal.
Give that man a dog bone. As David Lauder comes on now to try to salvage something from the drive for BYU. Earlier today, he made a 49-yarder, which was his first success of the season outside 40 yards. This one, a 47-yard try, and I think Lauder likes the stadium.
I'm telling you, 0 for 3 coming in, and now 2 for 2 from beyond 45 yards. That's a happy man.
2 years ago, Brigham Young and Notre Dame met for the first time. That game was all Irish, as Jerome Bettis ran for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Notre Dame beat Brigham Young here in South Bend 42-16. Last year, the Irish traveled to Provo and picked up another victory. Now they try to pin BYU with a 3rd consecutive defeat. But David Lauder has just kicked his 2nd field goal of the game for BYU. And it is 76 Irish as Lauder kicks off with the wind at his right knee, and Mosley takes it 5 yards deep. The Irish are without big play kick returner Mike Miller today, and so far they've done nothing on kick returns. Quickly, let's go to John Dockery.
Jim, you mentioned it there with the wind at his back. David Lauder has kicked 2 long field goals. When he was here last time, he actually kicked 3, but one of the reasons is that the wind is blowing from the right to the left. It's behind him, and it's gusting every so often, so he had a little help on those kicks. Back to you.
Well, now, wait a minute. He can't have help on both kicks. He kicked one on this end and one on the other. What's the deal?
He had more help on that one.
It was a swing win.
Made it by
That's
Asian.
it.
And full back time. And Kinder, well on his way to a possible 5th consecutive 100-yard rushing game, is stopped by Travis Hall. After a pickup of 4, it'll be 2nd down 6.
One of the things that Notre Dame has been unable to do over the last 2 games is have a high time of possession as well as plays. What has happened, take a look here, the number of plays by opponents over the last 2 games, more than 70 plays more. And more than 26 minutes more in time of possession. 27 minutes and 2 seconds to be exact.
And in the first period, BYU has the football for 9 minutes, 51 seconds. Is still looking to get this pass goes nowhere near an Irish player as Emmett Mosley had turned the route shorter into the middle of the field.
And Stan Ross, the linebacker, had come on the blitz, and he really gave Paulus a shot. Mine's the top of your screen. Number 50 comes on the blitz, gets past Edwards. Now watch the shot he takes right in the chest. That's when a quarterback is most vulnerable.
That's when a quarterback is happy that he's 6'4" and 218 pounds.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the reason he has to be.
3rd down 6. 60 yards to go. Leads the blocks beautifully and splits the defenders across the 35 to the 37-yard line. It'll be a Notre Dame 1st down. Danny Sampson, number 36, made the stop for BYU.
Travis Hall should have picked this up. Take a look when he comes upfield. You know right away that this is a screen pass when they let you go. He just lets him go. Now right here he sees the back in his peripheral vision, but doesn't come out to make the play. Good downfield blocking on the part of Notre Dame, and this kid will get the 1st down. But the front 7 of BYU did a poor job of recognizing that.
There's got 10 at the 36-yard line. Paulus 4 of 7 for 73 yards. 8 minutes to call the game. Slow developing play. Loss of a yard or 2. Number 97, Randy Brock, with another big play. And let's go back to John Dockery.
You know, Jim, problems in the secondary for BYU. Lane Hale, you can see behind me on the sidelines, having problems with his shoulder. And of course, Corey Cook, the starter, is out there. They tried to put these extra pads on him underneath the shoulder pads to give him a little cushion, but apparently it's not working. And Hale out of the game at free safety for the Cougars.
Combine that with the fact that Jordan Reed was hurt earlier, and you're absolutely right, Doc. They are struggling a little bit in the secondary.
And mentioned Corey Cook out at safety with a knee injury. Shane Ulbrich makes the saving tackle, but a resounding return to action. 2nd appearance in the game for the previously injured senior running back Lee Becton.
Jim, that has to feel pretty good for Lee Becton, somebody who they had touted as the Heisman possibility this season. Had the injury, has missed an awful lot of games. I would think that that run right there, earlier in the game he had a run that got stuffed for no gain. That's going to feel pretty good. From North Carolina.
9-yard pickup for Becton. 4th down, 1 yard to go. Or 1 yard to go, I should say. The season numbers. BYU players think they've got it. And they do. And that is Notre Dame's 1st turnover in 10 quarters of action in the series against BYU. They went through each of the previous 2 dates with this team without turning the football over. Now they they finally do it. Number 99, Greg Pitts, a senior from Provo, is the man who fell on the ball for BYU.
Well, he doesn't get the snap. Right there you can see he doesn't come out too soon. The ball just never comes up. And of course, don't forget that Zadovetsky has been playing guard most of the season. Excuse me, in this case, Ziegler, who's been playing guard, now goes to center. That's the second time it's happened.
First down, Rush has Jamal Willis, and Willis is in the Notre Dame territory at the 30-yard line. Sean Wooden with the stop for the Irish. It's a 15-yard pickup for BYU.
Tackaway, Wooden. Gain of 13.
I can't emphasize enough the fact that in the offensive line situation, you know, you make those changes, and of course the reason for that is you're saying, look, we want to shake things up, we want to do some different things, but really it creates some havoc because people are not really sure of their responsibilities with only 6 days of practice.
Dusty Ziegler with glory for his from the 31-yard line is hit by defensive tackle Oliver Gibson, held to no gain. It'll be second down 10.
Over two teams who are averaging nearly 30 points a game, around 30 points rather. This is very surprising. We have a 7-6 score. I would have anticipated a higher scoring game at this point, wouldn't you, Jim?
Certainly would have. I think you got an inspired defensive play and excellent field position management for BYU. And the change in defense for Notre Dame has clearly Lewis tied in with the catch there. Has a gain of about 8. LaRon and LaShane Sadler there to make the stop for Notre Dame. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
It appears that this will be interesting here with regards to 3rd and short as to what they've done. I'm curious here if this isn't a great opportunity for Brigham Young to go with the play action pass.
English 9.
Went over 200 wins this year, Lavelle Edwards. He's got 252. Holtz has 197.
Third down at half a yard. Willis is hitting the backfield. And fights forward for the first down.
What an effort by Jamal Willis. Certainly it looked like he was stuffed in the backfield. Take a look at the number of tackles he breaks. Justin Goheen has him. He runs through that one. Runs through the tackle of Ronaldo Wynn, who just cannot quite hang on to him as he's able to lunge forward to the 19-yard line. When I chatted with Jamal Willis, Jim, one of the things that I brought up is the fact that in the National Football League there are very few great runners who have his height. He is nearly 6'3". That's an awful lot to tackle, but in that case it was an advantage because he was able to reach the ball for it a little bit farther.
First down at the 19. Wall is hit, but delivers the football anyway. Bobby Taylor almost had a chance for an interception on the play just behind Bryce Doman.
And if the hit is not made here, this is a touchdown. Doman with a little bit of an in move, in out and in again, turns Taylor around completely. He would have had it for the touchdown, but he is hit in the backfield by Cobbins. Watch number 49 hit him right at the last, pulls on his legs. He can't set up, and as a result, the ball's a little bit short. Otherwise, that would have been 6 for BYU.
It'll be second down 10.
As we host progress, Jim, we have seen a lot of different people positions defensively for Notre Dame.
Two tacklers to beat touchdown.
And Mike Johnston, one of the biggest players for Brigham Young, makes an absolutely nice block from Bobby Taylor to spring Willis.
After the first Notre Dame turnover against BYU in 3 years, a drive fueled by the desire of Jamal Willis and good decision-making by John Walsh, and the Cougars have a touchdown. 19-yard TD pass, 4th reception of the game for Jamal Willis. First touchdown for BYU, and timeout for the Cougars.
Take a look here, Jamal Willis, man-for-man coverage here. He just comes and runs the out route. Now watch at the end of the play, number 84, who's been running his route downfield, is going to come back and make the block. Watch Johnston put the block right here on Taylor that enables Willis to get into the end zone. This really isn't bad coverage on the part of Notre Dame with regards to Jamal Willis. Certainly it is a mismatch, Jeremy Sample and Willis. But in this case, it's not as bad as the fact that for once, at least in the first half, John Walsh puts it right on the money.
from South San Francisco, California, Mike Johnston. He made the block on 6'3", 201-pound Bobby Taylor.
Just looking at him there in that picture, Jim, I think that 5'10" is stretching.
6 plays, 45 yards, 2 minutes, 11 seconds for BYU to score. The discussion here revolving obviously around the question of whether you want to try to go up 13-7 or 14-7.
Well, I don't think there's any discussion at all. They're going to go for 2. I think the situation was that John Walsh just didn't know what to do in terms of what he wanted in a 2-point play, but now it appears that you're right. The kickers in the game are going to go for 1, so strange. I'd go for 2 here, just because you can't count on the fact that they're going to miss the next goal. The field goal kicking from Notre Dame has not been acceptable all this season.
Nowatzki, the wide receiver, is a strike. Lauder kicks it through. And so with David Lauder's PAT, Brigham Young stretches its lead over Notre Dame now to 13-7. We bring you back to a moment of relative quiet in Notre Dame Stadium. Brigham Young, after a fumble by Notre Dame's Ron Paulus on the exchange from center Dusty Ziegler, capitalizes with a touchdown drive, and the Cougars now lead the Fighting Irish 13-7, 2:59 to go in that Ziegler on the sideline as David Lauder kicks it off for BYU. Mosley will return the kick. So the first non-Mike Miller return of the day for the Irish goes out to the 26-yard line. Paulus and company will set up on offense there, and a look back, Todd, at a key play in the preceding drive.
Well, Jim, strange to say that the key play of the drive was only a 1.5-yard run, but a very determined 1.5-yard run. Jamal Willis actually looking like he stopped there for a 3-yard loss. Instead, perseveres through the tackles of 3 Notre Damers to get the first down that precluded the inevitable touchdown that he had on the pass.
Setting up the 19-yard touchdown pass from Walsh to Jamal Willis. And it's first down 10 now from the 26. Paulus gives to Kinder, and Randy Kinder ran into a blocker and a tackler and reacted away before Shane Muirbrook made the stop. It'll be a loss of about a yard.
Jim, I keep making this same point, and forgive my redundancy, but the collision that he has with the blocker and some of the things that seem out of sync as a result of these people moving around and being in different positions. It's just an awful lot to ask an individual in 4 days of practice to master a different position, even if he has been started.
He holds set to himself. Second down 10. Paulus looking deep for Mays. Great catch by Derek Mays. Gets by 1 tackler. And finally is brought down at the BYU 21-yard line. It was number 13, John Pollock, who saved the touchdown along with number 5, Greg Steele.
But Greg Steele's the freshman. He's the one that's in for Dermel Reed, and he's with him man for man, but he doesn't look back quick enough. Right here at the last minute, he looks, but that's not enough. Mays with the subtle push is able to get away with it and make a nice catch. And that's a play that certainly Notre Dame needed.
In the stands after Derek Mays has suddenly awakened the Irish with a big play. First time all day Parks had looked for Mays. Trying to find the seam, cannot do so. Shane Muirbrook, who is piling up a large number of tackles in the first half, has another stop.
Well, he had 46 coming into this game, leading tackler, and talking to defensive coordinator Ken Schmidt, they said that he's the real deal. He's somebody that he really feels like has a future in the National Football League. Started 8 games last year as a freshman.
Cougars are starting to bottle up the Irish running game. Kinder, 14 carries, 65 yards, but 31 of those came on the early touchdown run. Has a gain of about 4. Flag down. Ross made the tackle for BYU.
Looked like Ross might have got a piece of the face mask.
Number 50, Stan Ross, eldest of a pair of twin brothers who play on the BYU defense.
Eldest by 5 minutes.
Face mask. 5-yard penalty against the defense. Repeat the second down.
Right at the end of the play, Paulus on the option cuts up. There's the left hand right there and pulls on the face mask. Good call by the official.
That's the kind of play about which Stan would say, no, that must have been my brother's job. Face mask, but it looks just like that. They are identical twins. short. Stan Ross was the man who was chasing Paulus. Derek Mays and Charles Stafford were together near the goal line, but Paulus couldn't get it that deep.
Now, Jim, I'm really surprised at that call for a lot of different reasons. Here you are inside the 15-yard line. You've got 2nd and 3. Okay, Brigham Young has had some success against the run, but clearly you're dominant physically. You've got 2 tries to get the first down inside the 15 on 2nd down. To form a pass in that situation doesn't make much sense.
For BYU.
Lou Holtz wants timeout and he can't get it. This is before the play. Nonetheless, Paulus showing a little composure. He gets Edwards on the delay route to get the first down. Now he does call the timeout with 39 seconds left in the half.
26.
Use a timeout. Paulus now 6 of 10 in the air for 134 yards. 55 of those 134 yards coming on the big play of this drive from Paulus to Derek Mays.
Now this will be an interesting call up to this point on first down. The Irish on their 12 times on first down. They've rushed the ball 11 times and only passed it once.
From the 7.
He runs the short corner out on the freshman, number 5, Greg Steele.
This is number 96. Top in the game, 14-13.
Well, the offensive line does a good job here of when they roll out, getting people down on their feet. Look at where he is. He has plenty of time to throw the ball. Mays with a nice move, dragging his feet for the score. Little outside move. Now watch him come back to the inside, make it look like a corner. Steele is fooled. Nice move by number 1 Mays. Check out the feet. There they are.
And Derek Mays' parents celebrate in the stands. It was a tough drive for the freshman defensive back Greg Steele, who was beaten on the 55-yard play from Paulus to Mays and then beaten again for the TD. But lots of corners would have found themselves in those shoes against Derek Mays.
Well, that may be true, but certainly it's asking somebody who is yet to start a game in collegiate football, a true freshman, to come in and play cornerback against an All-American.
What's up, Boston?
You vote Mays on your All-America team, is that it?
The way I really like the way he goes after the ball. For instance, on the long play, the very subtle lean, and that shows somebody. Somebody that understands the game.
Yeah, that little push is an NFL play.
It is. It is. And there have been so many situations this year where Mays just flat out gone up and gotten the ball that wasn't that well thrown.
Kicks it away for Notre Dame. It's number 34 to Bloomfield, and Bloomfield is out near the 40-yard line before Bill Legacy makes the stop. And minor discussion taking place after the play.
Now,
BYU.
as often happens when they drop the ball, Jim, it shakes up the coverage. Right here, he drops the ball. The tendency, if you're on the defense, is to relax a little bit, and as a result of that, he's able to cut through a lane created by the fact that the Notre Dame people did not stay in their lanes.
26 seconds to go before halftime. He throws deep down the sideline. For the flag and don't get it. Bobby Taylor with the coverage against Bryce Bowman.
Right here is the ball in the air. That would be the argument. Doman looks back and Taylor pushes him, and then he looks back. And once again, you're talking about pro plays. Certainly Taylor had the contact after the ball was thrown, but he does a good job of looking back. And as soon as he looks back for the ball, that's when he's able to get away with it.
Looking for the strike shirt to say, hey, where's my flag? 21 seconds left in the half. On second down, Walsh with an open man, hits him in the hands, and it pops out. And with the football, it's number 17, Brian McGee. McGee trying to make something happen for the Irish and coming back to make the stop is Chad Lewis, number 96, the tight end. The same man out of whose hands Walsh's accurate pass had flown. 31-yard interception return for McGee. Would have been a big play for BYU. Turns out to be a big one for the Irish.
And he has reason to be angry. That is just a terrific touch pass. And what's Lewis looking at? This is what he's doing. He's right down the middle. Look back. And he looks back too late. And as a result, the ball is popped up and McGee makes the catch. You saw Walsh's reaction to that. And to his credit, Lewis bounces back and makes the tackle. But he's the one at fault there. He should have been paying attention.
8 seconds left in the half. For Paulus. He's going from the top of the screen. Paulus throws into the hands of a BYU defender. And now Paulus misses the tackle. Numbers 46, Shane Murbrook, which is the man with the football. And the first half ends with wild fireworks as the Irish manage to wrestle Murbrook to the ground and prevent a possible lightning touchdown off the interception.
Strange back-to-back plays to end the half.
Walsh and Paulus both victimized by interceptions as the half comes to a close. Shane Murbrook for a moment stared at open field, got past Ron Paulus, but then was brought down. And let's go down quickly to John Dockery.
Coach, first half, I mean, you stayed in the game. After the second touchdown, did you think about going for two?
Yeah, we did. And in fact, that's what we were going to do. And then I got looking at it, and we were playing good on defense. And I thought, I don't want to get beat by two, field goals. And so then they came right back and hit that long pass, and that, put it all academic then.
The first drive they scored quickly, yet you were able to come back and move the ball. What's the difference there?
Well, we coming on pretty good, really. And, the real key was after we fumbled that kickoff, after they had scored and then held them out and they didn't get any points out of it. Then from then on, we started to tighten it up defensively and started to play better offensively, and that made a difference.
Good luck to you, Coach. Thank you.
Head-to-head quarterback battle brewing between John Walsh and Ron Paulus. It's 14-13 Notre Dame, and we take you now to Ahmad Rashad in New York. And of the Fighting Irish leading the BYU Cougars 14-13 moments ago as the Irish return to the field. Our John Dockery spoke to Lou Holtz.
Coach, first drive looked like Notre Dame football. You get a touchdown right away, and then what happened after that?
We're not controlling the line of scrimmage, and we're not protecting the passer. They play you with an 8 or 9 man front, and we're just having some trouble protecting the passer. If we can get a little bit more consistent running and protect the passer, we'll be all right.
Did you challenge him at the half?
You don't challenge Notre Dame players. They come here, it's a challenge. Yeah, we talk all the time about what we want to do. We work hard. We know what we got to do. We just got to go do it.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Lampley along with Todd Christensen. We expected a game in the 30s. Both offenses began to loosen up a little in the second quarter.
Yeah, in the second quarter, it appeared that the quarterbacks were starting to get some rhythm. Here, John Walsh gets back in the pocket, gets Jamal Willis on the crossing route with a nice block by Johnson at the end, is able to find himself in the end zone. But he wasn't the only quarterback that had some success. The very next drive, Ron Paulus hits 2 big plays to Mays. Here, the second one for the touchdown. Good job of dragging his feet, and that's where we are right now, 14-13.
Halftime stats, and you can see that passing yards are almost equal. 139 for BYU, 140 for Notre Dame. The Irish running the ball just a little better, but a lot of that came on the early 41-yard touchdown run by Randy Kinder. Since then, BYU has been tougher against the rush. Irish will kick it off. Jerry Wonder doing this job for the first time today. Starts the second half. He's picked up by one of the short men for BYU and brought back close to the 40-yard line. It'll be BYU football as Bill Matulis made the tackle for Notre Dame. John Walsh comes onto the field, and here are the numbers for both QBs.
A lot of that is deceptive, too, because of the fact that Paulus had the one long throw to Mays that took up most of the chunk of that yardage. Walsh cannot afford the luxury of having a bad game, as opposed to Paulus can hand off to a Kinder or an Edwards or a Farmer. Walsh now has to assert himself here in the second half.
The only interception against Walsh was on a pass to the tight end, Chad Lewis, on which he hit Lewis to Hima, and the fullback has a gain of about a yard to start the offense for BYU in the second half. Here's a look at BYU's first half possessions.
Well, as you mentioned, too, the interception there at the end is deceiving because it was a tremendous throw by Walsh. Biggest play, really, though, of the first half had to be the series in the defense for Brigham Young when, after being down 7-0, fumbled the kickoff. Notre Dame set the door and scored. Instead, they missed the field goal. That gave BYU a chance to get back into it.
Second down, Walsh drops back into the game. Open downfield for a moment was number 95, Itulumile, and LaRon Moore reacted quickly to make the play.
What John Walsh is screaming about is it looked like Moore jumped on the back of Mealy a little bit early. He went up and made a nice play on the ball, but wasn't a little bit early. That would be the argument. Watch at the end. Here comes LaRon Moore, hits him on the head before the ball arrives. But I think the argument that Walsh should have is say, hey, Mealy, even though this is a difficult situation, you got the guy over your head. The ball's right on his hands.
Scoreboard calls it third down. We'll make it a long deep or a short run. Walsh again out of the gun. In the flat for a moment. Walsh waited too long. Sadler got there to cover. It'll be fourth down in a punting situation for BYU.
But once again, give Bob Davie credit for what he's doing. He is really mixing things up, trying to confuse John Walsh. In the first half, we mentioned the fact that he was big on the blitzes. They're on third long and 8. He only rushes 3, puts 8 in coverage, has everybody covered, and as a result, Walsh has to throw the ball away.
Third punt of the game for Alan Boardman of BYU. Scott Solomon, Emmett Mosley. Each to receive for Notre Dame again in the absence of regular punt returner Mike Miller. The Notre Dame return men treat the punt conservatively. It's going to be down inside the Irish 15 at the 14-yard line. 47-yard kick for Boardman. The Irish at the 14 when we come back. We're back for Notre Dame's first possession of the second half. Here's what they did in the first 2 quarters.
Well, the missed field goal is the one that stands out. That was their opportunity to really put Brigham Young behind the 8 ball. And after that time, with the exception of the touchdown, give credit to the Brigham Young defense for playing well.
Ron Paulus. 7 of 12 for 140 yards and a touchdown to Derek Mills in the first half. Very conservative first quarter. They get to Randy Kinder. And Kinder starts the second half of the Irish with a 5-yard gain. John Pollock made the stop for BYU, and we visit John Dockery on the sideline.
You know, Jim and Todd, an important note for the Irish. I talked to Will Yergler, the doctor for the Irish, and he told me that Dusty Ziegler sprained his ankle. He won't be back in the second half. So as you look in there, you see Mark Zedoveski at the center position.
And there's Zedoveski, number 67.
But the good side of that, of course, Jim, is that more than likely now they're not going to have the problems and the snaps from center that they had in the first half, because Zedoveski has been the center all season.
Edwards with the carry, and the fullback is across the 30 to 31-yard line, an 11-yard pickup, and a first down before he's brought down by Muirbrook and Sampson.
Well, the man we just mentioned, Zedoveski, take a look at the clearing block that he's able to give here. Guard comes around, and that enables Edwards to bust through for a big gain. This is where the front 7 of Brigham Young have been so effective in the first half, and they have to reestablish themselves here to take the sting out of the Notre Dame attack.
First down of the second half for Notre Dame. Alice pitches to Kinder. This time, BYU able to read the play effectively. Good play from defensive tackle by number 98, Mike Ulafale.
Well, Stan Ross is the one that makes that play, though, Jim. He's the one that forces it back to the inside. They tried to hook number 50, and they were unable to do it. And there's a man down in the field. I believe that's Jeremy Akers.
This would be a critical loss for the Irish as they begin to get very thin in the reshuffled offensive line. Regular backup guard, 64, Steve Misetic, is still available, but it's going to be Dusty Ziegler. You just heard John Dockery saying moments ago
Take a
that
look
we
at the
wouldn't
limp.
expect to see Ziegler.
And look at the gimp. You're absolutely right, Jim. Look at him all bandaged up. Look at the braces on the knees and the left ankle. That's pretty dramatic stuff. I don't doubt for a minute that John Dockery was exactly right. They had anticipated him coming back, but
Well, they had it from the doctor. And now the doctor will wait on the sideline to see what the deal is with number 76, Jeremy Akers. Meanwhile, tomorrow night, it's an NBC family double feature. Jim Belushi stars in the hilarious network television premiere of Curly Sue. Then it's the only place you'll find football on television Sunday night, the network premiere of the gridiron comedy Necessary Roughness. Yes, Kathy Ireland is the co-star of Necessary Roughness. It's all tomorrow night, starting at 7, 6 Central, here on NBC.
Isn't Kathy Ireland a place kicker in that? For the mythical Texas State team?
She'd be playing some football, no question about it. Second down, Paulus throws to the tight end, Oscar McBride, and a derisive cheer from the Notre Dame crowd. Many here believe that the Irish don't throw to the tight end enough, but he's Paulus.
Well, Jim, this is the third catch of the year for Oscar McBride, and they're treating, looking at he's treating it like it's a homecoming or something. I mean, only 2 catches for 15 yards coming into this game, and that explains why he was so wide open. The secondary for Big Line is assuming they're not going to throw the ball to this guy.
Oscar McBride, 6'5", 258 pounds, a senior from Chiefland, Florida. Third down and less than a yard to go for the first down. McBride was brought down short of the first down. Edwards block. Well-run play and a first down for Notre Dame. Eddie Sampson made the stop for BYU.
The left side of the line is starting to establish itself, and that's what Oscar McBride does best. We mentioned only the 3 catches, but he is an outstanding blocker. He's able to get the push on the left side and enable Kinder to get the first.
Well, he's been preceded by some big-time tight end athletes here at Notre Dame. A couple of whom were first-round draft choices in the NFL in recent years. Derek Brown of Giants, Irv Smith of the New Orleans Saints. First down, 10. Got their 46. Pass to Edwards. And the fullback starting to heat up with the football. Has a gain of about 8 before Sampson again makes the stop. Let's go to John Dockery.
You know, Jim, you mentioned a tight end position. I've been covering Notre Dame football for a lot of years, and, you know, they had Derek Brown, #1 pick, as you mentioned, by the Giants, and they had Irv Smith, #1 pick for the Saints, and Oscar McBride. You see that graphic? I mean, when you look at Derek Brown, 1 catch, a little more than that for his career, and Irv Smith less, and coming into this game, Oscar McBride only 2 catches for 15 yards, so they haven't utilized him much in tight. I don't know why. Big target, easy throw.
Second down, the give is to Becton. And the BYU defense is right there. Randy Brock with the initial hit yet again.
And Brock has been making some plays just like that earlier in the first half. You recall he had about 2 or 3 tackles for loss as well. And I'm surprised that Becton would be in the game in this situation, particularly the way Kinder has been running during this drive.
8th play of the drive coming up. It's 3rd down 4. Football at the 48-yard line of BYU. Kane is right at the 44. Marcus Thorne. Anthony Becton behind. Becton has a big hole. First down yardage and more. As Becton goes inside the 30 to the 29. Shane Muirbrook finally there to make the tackle, and we'll wait for the call.
They're going to catch Oscar McBride for holding. He came downfield and did a good job of getting in front of Pollock, but what Jim McCabe saw was he saw hands on the jersey. Lou Holtz isn't very happy about it because the play was set up very well in the option, and he's trying to explain to him. He said that's a bad call, but that's not what the official thinks.
Holding. 10-yard penalty against the offense. Repeat the 3rd down.
To the left of your screen, watch number 80 out front right here to the left of your screen. Now, there you see the jersey come out, and the jersey comes out twice. Good job by the official of spotting that.
Too much clock for Oscar McBride. It nullifies a first down run by Becton and makes it 3rd down 10 to go now. The ball at the 46 of Notre Dame. Again, the chain is at the 44 of BYU. Stafford in motion to the top of the screen. Paulus wants Stafford, and he makes the catch for the first down at the BYU 42. Again, they went to work on freshman quarterback Greg Steele.
Paulus really paid the price for that. Scott Albrecht came right underneath his chin. They roll out to the left. Actually, Brigham Young does a pretty good job of keeping up with their feet. Nobody touches Albrecht, and he gets right underneath his chin. As you mentioned, Stafford goes up, and they are working on the freshman cornerback rather. That's the rigors of playing quarterback at a big-time university. You got to take your shots too.
Off the right side for a pickup of about 8 before Shane Muirbrook made the stop. his hands to Mark Edwards. Edwards trying for the first down, as close to it.
I might disagree with Hannah just from the standpoint, why would Auburn be the new number one? You go down, beat Florida in Florida, you're doing something.
Well, Nebraska would have been in position to threaten for the national championship until a couple of weeks ago. Down went Frazier. Today, they've already changed quarterbacks once, and they're still as an unbeaten team. Flags down as the BYU defensive line jumps the gun. Mike Willafale coming across as he faced Jeremy Akers. Ball's going to go against BYU, and that will give Notre Dame a first down as they mark it over. So many times over the years, if you look at what happens to Florida football, Auburn has
Dead ball foul. Offsides. 5-yard penalty against the defense. First down.
Bad time to jump off sides there at 3rd and 2.5.
It's inside the 25. And Dusty Ziegler ends up limping.
Well, he was limping to begin with, but they're doing a good job on the interior. Look at the delay here, and look, Akers is doing a good job hooking people. Look at the cut back there. They spread it out, and when they cut back, the whole idea is to turn it back inside. But both the center, in this case Zadaveski, and Akers are doing a good job keeping the pursuit together.
Pitch to Kinder, and Stan Ross, number 50, is there to wrap Ron Paulus up.
The option is just a staple of the Lou Holtz offense, and as you mentioned earlier, you mentioned his size, 6'4", 217 pounds, but he is certainly not fleet of foot, yet they continue to persist with him.
And when we asked Ron about it, he said, I run it pretty well in practice. It just hasn't happened in a game yet. Third down. 5 yards to go. BYU in man coverage as they set up. Paulus looking to the tight end again. This time he wanted number 88, Leon Wallace, and threw it short on the grass in front of Wallace.
Now this would normally be just an automatic field goal situation, but they're not going to do that. They're going to go for it. It's a 41-yard kick, which by standards is certainly a tough kick. But 4th and 6, they're going to go for it.
Holtz doesn't have a lot of confidence in either field goal kicker, Stephen Schrockner or Scott Singer. Going to be, so Paulus calls timeout and stops the action with 7:08 to go in the third quarter. It's still 14-13. As we bring you back to Notre Dame Stadium, you look at Dusty Ziegler, number 77, along the sideline. He left the game, then re-entered after fellow offensive lineman Jeremy Akers went down for a moment, and now Ziegler has come back out. But the doctor tells us it does not look good. Taken to the locker room and probably will not return to this game. Now 4th down and 6. With the ball at the 24. Out of bounds at the 2-yard line. Jamie Cook, reserve safety man, was beaten in the one-on-one coverage by Stafford. Big play for Notre Dame.
The shield. Watch him cut inside here and knock off the defender that's supposed to be covering Stafford. As a result of that, Paulus has the time and he's able to. This is really a good throw, right on the money. Stafford gets the 1 foot in, first down.
Second touchdown of the day. Wrapped up the BYU defense. Pollock and Stan Ross.
That was Edwards, Jim, trying to cut inside. Defense there with a front 7 able to stop it now. Early in in the season, Jim, recalled in the Northwestern game that Notre Dame did a lot of play-action passing inside the 5. They weren't as confident with their offensive line. And I would think at this point, with the number of injuries and the changes, they can't be as full of confidence as they would be otherwise.
Becton comes onto the field. No, now Becton's out. It's Kinder, and Edwards. Stan Ross again. Number 50 there to make the stop.
Well, Hall, number 56, does a good job of spreading the play out and making him go wider than they care to. Watch number 56, defensive end, takes on Leon Wallace, the tight end, and in great pursuit forces Kinder to the outside. Nice tackle, too, that prevents his forward motion from getting any extra yardage. Now 3rd and 3, I would anticipate a play action play.
That's for the director was indeed instead of Ross. Outside the 20 at the 22. Safety blitz from John Pollock.
And there is a case of a lack of plays. There's a situation where you've got to get rid of the ball, throw it completely out of the end zone, just get rid of it. Instead, he takes a 20-yard loss. And as you mentioned, Jim, the confidence in the kicking game is non-existent. Now they're going to have to attempt about a 39-yard field goal. And even though it's right down the middle, with the difficulties in snapping and holding up to this point, this is far from a sure thing.
Freshman Scott Sanger, the walk-on from Melbourne, Florida, his long success of the year from 43 yards out. This an attempt on 39. And it's blocked. And this is Steele. And Steele's got some open field on that side. Gets away for the moment from Wallace. And it's BYU football at the 23-yard line. The Irish kicked it off for 7 minutes, 51 seconds. All the way down to the 3-yard line of Brigham Young and wind up coming away scoreless.
In the pros, they don't let you jump in the middle, but they do in college. Taking the middle, number 90, 96. That's the tight end, Chad Lewis, who shows the vertical jump and comes up with a big play for Brigham Young. 3rd down in a very predictable play-action pass mode. You have 2 tight ends who have combined for 3 catches. Knowing this, Brigham Young decides to opt with the safety blitz. John Pollock from the right of your screen comes right into the face of Paulus, and right there he should have just thrown the ball completely out of the end zone. Instead, they're forced to attempt the 39-yard field goal. And as a result, Chad Lewis, the starting tight end. Remember 1981 Kellen Winslow playoff between the Dolphins and the Chargers. A light play when he runs up, gets a finger on the kick. And as a result now, Brigham Young set up on the 23-yard line. 7 minutes, 51 seconds, 18 plays, all for naught. Momentum clearly shifting to Brigham Young.
Cougars will start with the football at their 23-yard line. 5:17 to go in the 4th quarter. BYU has had the ball for 3 plays and 1 minute on this quarter. Cougars trailing by 1 at 14-13. Willis on 1st down. The ball comes loose.
He fumbled, but they lucked out. They lucked out in that case. You know, we haven't seen much of Jamal Willis carrying the ball. We thought that we would see a little bit more. Fortunately, his lineman is able to pick up the slack. And I thought that they very much wanted to establish the running game. That's it. Jamal Willis, only his 5th carry. Slashing runner, same physique as Eric Dickerson, lacking the speed. There the ball gets stripped by Sadler, but knifing into the play. I believe it's Edwards, the center, number 68.
With the football, trying to get to the 33 to pick up a 1st down. Oliver Gibson making the stop for Notre Dame.
It's very important here for Brigham Young to get this 1st down, Jim, to maintain the momentum they had as a result of the blocked field goal. If they go 3 and kick here, Notre Dame has the opportunity to reestablish their momentum. And 2. I wonder if that means it was 1.
Yard Walsh to Willis touchdown when he converted a 3rd and 1 into a 1st down. And again, there was second effort here.
Well, again, it's very important here from Brigham Young's standpoint, not simply just to convert as they did on the first down, but to reestablish their own physicality. It plays on your mind psychologically if you can't get it 3rd and 1, particularly in the offensive line. Then you get a situation of feeling that, well, we can't run the ball. Now we're going to have to throw every down. A little bit of a stumble there, but as you mentioned, the strength and perseverance of Willis enables them to accrue the first.
Willis, who again converts on the first down. Bobby Taylor and Brian McGee there to work against Tim Nowatzki, number 42, and Nowatzki has his 3rd catch of the day. BYU going with a 2 tight end offense. Lewis and Millie, I should say. Lewis and Millie both on the field.
Well, in doing that, they're trying to shake things up, not be quite so predictable. Interesting point here as you look at this graphic regarding passing offensive leaders. Notre Dame has had to play 3 of those 4 teams, or will by the end of the season. Florida State looming in a couple of weeks in Orlando.
Shane Sadler, it's a 19-yard pickup for Willis, and another Brigham Young first down.
And of course, Jim, it's easy to second guess, but you'd have to ask yourself at this point, why weren't they doing this earlier? A little bit of a counter tray action. He's just running through people, just stiff arms LaRon Moore to the ground. 19-yard pickup down now to the 38-yard line. And as we mentioned earlier, that was only Jamal Willis' 6th carry of the game, and we're nearly into the 4th quarter. That's surprising.
There for the Irish.
That play has been ineffective for Brigham Young all day long, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that he doesn't quite have the foot speed of Jamal Willis. Now with the loss of 1, they put themselves into a passing situation.
Clock running, 2 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. 7th play of the BYU drive. The blocked field goal. Trying to hit Chad Lewis. Brian McGee there for the Irish. BYU still going with the double tight end offense.
Well, they're still able to throw the ball in the double tight end offense because they have 2 wide outs. The misdirection does not fool Burt Berry. Comes with the crossing route across the field, and in good coverage there. Right on top of him is McGee. Give credit to the secondary of Notre Dame doing a good job this series.
It'll be 3rd down, 11. Coming onto the field, Bryce Doman bringing the play to Walsh. Walsh directs into the middle to the left side. Goes the screen to Little move inside, gets Hymuli the first down. Irish 25.
Give credit to John Walsh for fading back. Doing a great job of selling it. Watch the middle of your screen. The people get out. He holds it to the last minute, and the linemen go completely the other direction. Hymuli fools them by cutting back. If that's by design, that's very creative on the part of Norm Chow and the offensive people for Brigham Young. He goes away from the line and is able to pick up the first down.
I saw the Notre Dame defender go down in the face of 335 fighting for yardage again. Gets away from Bobby Taylor long enough to pick up about 8. It'll be 2nd down 2.
Same misdirection play that he had his 19-yarder earlier in the drive.
So they get the 14-yard screen pass to Hymuli and then work back to the same short side of the field. What becomes a 9-yard gain by Willis at 2nd down 1, and the Cougars are driving toward the score that could put them ahead. 10th play of the drive.
Man right here is Norm Chow, the offensive play caller for Brigham Young, and he certainly is doing the job this series. Everything seems to be working.
Back to the double tight end offense. Willis runs behind it for good yardage and a first down near the 10-yard line. There's Norm.
Been with Brigham Young for 17 years, so this is
Jeremy Sample made the stop for Notre Dame.
Jim, it seems interesting. We were talking about the dominance of the Notre Dame offensive line in their pass drive. Now, all of a sudden, the Brigham Young offensive front is starting to assert itself. As you mentioned, he bobbles the ball, still has plenty of time to grab it and still get 4 yards. That says a lot for what the offensive line is doing for the Cougars in this series.
Notre Dame defenders bending over, hands on their knees, looking a little bit tired. BYU still with 2 tight ends. Walsh rolling, decides to keep it inside the 5. He's going to take a big hit, but gets down to the 1-yard line, slicing between Gibson and Barry as he tried to find the goal line.
Well, this was not his strong suit, mobility. We have both quarterbacks similar with regard to that. Walsh at 6'4", 215, the classic drop back passer. Once again on the counter boot fake, nobody is open. Notre Dame does the job in the secondary. Now Walsh has to do it on his own. Takes a bit of a hit there at the end, but as you mentioned, now down to the 1-yard line.
Where it will be 3rd down. They can get a 1st down without scoring a touchdown.
Now Walsh is doing a very smart thing here, Jim. 10 seconds and running the end of the quarter. Rather than hustle up and make a play, he has plenty of time to go to the sidelines, talk with the coaches, find out exactly what it is they want to do to start the 4th quarter on this very crucial 3rd down play.
Walsh shows a lot of poise, doesn't he?
He does.
So it is 14-13 Notre Dame, but BYU is right on top of the Irish goal line. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Bring it back to South Bend. 4th quarter begins with the biggest play of the game so far. BYU, 12 plays, 76 yards in the drive. Now 3rd and 1. They've rushed for 55 yards in the drive. Todd, how about a play action pass?
That would make no sense. Certainly Brigham Young's modus operandi is to do that inside the 5-yard line. But the way that they've been running, and you mentioned something earlier with regards to Jamal Willis and his ability to run. I liken him to Sam Bam Cunningham, remember 20 years ago, the leaps over the 6'3" Jamal.
Showing his desire at the goal line and going over the top for the touchdown. 10th TD of the year for Willis, and Kalani Fafita, number 23, on the field for a scrimmage play for the first time all day, made the lead block that helped Willis into the air.
He's pretty excited about it. He's the one that fires them up on special teams. Well, until he gets 4 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl, we can't quite compare him with Sam Bam, but there's a nice vertical there, and clearly, as you mentioned, he is over the goal line for 6.
And now, after having elected not to go for 2 after their first touchdown, the Cougars will go for 2 here. Try to stretch 19-14 to 21-14. And chances are that this play is during the break between quarters as well. With Nowacki in motion, goes back to the other side to a wide open Henny Lamule, and the Cougars have a 2-point conversion and a 21-14 lead over Notre Dame in South Bend with 14 minutes 57 seconds to go. South Bend, Indiana, 14:57 to go in the 4th quarter, and Brigham Young, after a drive built on the running game, has taken the lead over the Irish. A 2-point conversion stretching the lead to 7. Warren's kickoff is watched by Stafford and Mosley as it goes out of bounds. David Lauder, who had 2 early field goals for BYU. And you saw the shot of Lavelle Edwards stalking the sidelines. The Irish are going to elect to keep the football.
There's the touchdown, as you mentioned, Fafita with the lead block, enabling Willis to get the touchdown. And then a play they had run all day. Look at the good job. He looks to the middle and then goes out to the flat. Haimuli completely uncovered in for the 2-point conversion. Very creative on the part of Norm Chow and the offense to come with a play that they had not used the entire day.
So though the Irish dominated much of the 3rd quarter, they came away with nothing on their long drive. BYU capitalized on its scoring chance. The 35-yard line, Ryan Pace.
Way to go, baby! Way to go, baby!
You really could argue, you could certainly argue that that was intentional grounding. There was nobody near that ball.
Randy Brock, Dennis Simmons, both chasing Paulus. Paulus on the day now, 10 of 17, 184 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he has been sacked 3 times. The last of those 3 sacks critical. because it came as the Irish tried on 3rd and goal from the 3, and he wound up back at the 22, and the 39-yard field goal attempt by Senzel was blocked. 2nd down 10. This is Edwards. His flags are down,
but it's going to come back.
Substantial gain.
Holding.
Lou Holtz watching as the big gain by Edwards is wiped out. Now Derek Mays will come onto the field for the play.
Holding. 10-yard penalty against the offense. Repeat the first down.
Pressure begins to increase on young Paulus now, who will have to operate on 2nd down, 24 yards to go, with the ball at the Irish 21.
That certainly affects his opportunity to run, and it certainly doesn't help that he's not going to have much in the way of play-action passing either.
When the offense seemed bogged down in the first half for Notre Dame, Paulus made the choice to go to Derek Mays, and then moved him up. The second quarter was led to a Paulus to Mays touchdown. They try Mays again, and this time he drops the football. Quickly to John Dockery.
You know, Jim, BYU is so concerned about the injuries in their defensive backfield that they actually brought their safeties coach, that's him on the sidelines, Barry Lamb, from the press box to help to tutor the young defensive backs. Normally they just have the cornerback coach down here, but they're so concerned they brought an extra coach to help the young defensive backs. Back to you, Jim.
And so far, the young defensive backs have held up reasonably well. There have been some rough moments for number 5, young Greg Steele, but not enough for the Irish to be leading in the football game. 3rd down, 4th sack of the day for BYU. Travis Hall.
Once again, you're asking a lot. Number 69, he hasn't played much this year. They shift offensive line. Hall, an all-whack performer, just comes all the way around him and nails Paulus. First of all, I don't understand play-action pass when it's 3rd and 24. Who are you going to fool with the fake run? But Hall comes all the way around, showing great speed. Stuffs number 3.
The shuffled offensive line has had some good moments and some bad ones today. Gets it out of the end zone, gets it. It's down at the 43. Matt Jackson fighting his way into Notre Dame territory. It'll be BYU ball at the 44-yard line. 44-yard punt, 10-yard return. We'll be back. It started out as a good day in South Bend for the Fighting Irish. On their first possession of the game, Randy Kinder went 41 yards for the touchdown. That made it 7-0 Notre Dame. Later, BYU came back with a David Lauder field goal from 49 yards out, his longest of the year, 7-3. Then in the second quarter, another Lauder field goal from 47, and it was 7-6 Notre Dame. Then, later in the second quarter, John Walsh with a 19-yard touchdown pass to Jamal Willis, 13-7 BYU. Just before halftime, 34 seconds to go in the second quarter, Ron Paulus to Derek Mays, 7 yards out, set up by a 55-yard Paulus to Mays throw, 14-13. But then, just as the fourth quarter began, Willis's 1-yard touchdown run over the top of the Walsh, the Hamouli 2-point conversion, and now Lou Holtz. And the Fighting Irish trail BYU 21-14. As the Cougars get the football back after the Notre Dame punt and the 44-yard Willis running again. The BYU running attack came alive on their last possession. He's got a gain of about 2. And we want to tell you the story of Lavelle Edwards. We started the day with this observation. In his long career as the BYU coach, Edwards has never faced an opponent 3 times without winning. The significance of that, they had lost to Notre Dame in each of the 2 preceding seasons. So it would have been unprecedented for Edwards and the Cougars to lose this game today.
An interesting point, Jim, was when we did research that Lavelle told me that personally when we were talking.
To Willis. And Jamal Willis, who's fought for a lot of extra yardage today, breaks a tackle again. Ronaldo Wynn brings him down. He's close to the first down.
Well, that's nearly 400 total victories between the 2 head coaches here today. Just absolutely fabulous careers for both Lou Holtz and Lavelle Edwards. One of the most self-deprecating men I've ever met. Totally unconsumed without ego. Had his 64th birthday this last Tuesday.
And by his own admission, not one of those running coaches. Third down one. Twice previously today, Willis has converted significant third and ones into first downs. This time he's short.
Now we head into a very big situation. A 52-yard field goal is not in the cards. 4th and 1. I think they have to go for it here. This could be a turning point on both sides of the ball. Arguably the most pivotal play of the game, Jim.
Bob Davie, the Notre Dame defensive coordinator, talking to his staff. Lou Holtz looking to see what Davie will come up with. As on the other side, the wheels are grinding for Lavelle Edwards and company.
He's running out of time, too. He's probably going to have to call timeout.
3 on the play clock, 2 on the play clock.
I don't think he got it.
Justin Goheen was there to make helmet-to-helmet contact.
This is a bad decision on the part of John Wall, seeing with 4 seconds left on the clock. He really should have called timeout.
I think we're going to get a friendly spot, Todd.
But I mean, even if he does get the first down, we were talking about the poise that he'd had up to this point. They have their full complement of timeouts. He should have taken one there. As we mentioned, biggest play of the game. Let's talk about it. Can he jump over the top? Can we play action pass? There's 100 things that we can do, not force the sneak.
If he failed to get it, they have given the football back to the Irish in reasonably good field position. By the nose of the football, it is BYU first down. And for a moment there, no luck of the Irish in South Bend.
That was definitely Brigham Young luck there. You're absolutely right. You can question that spot, Jim. And that is always, that's human error. He gets the collision right there. And where does the ball get stopped? It appears that the ball gets stopped a little bit short of the 39-yard line, but that's not what the side judge saw.
9 times out of 10, the defense is going to get the benefit of the doubt when they hit like that.
That's correct.
So piece of good fortune for BYU. The Pens a first down conversion on 4th and 1. Walsh and company still with the ball. Good reaction in the middle of the Notre Dame defense.
Well, that time they split Jamal Willis out into a third wide receiver situation, trying to create some havoc in the secondary, and they go to Haimuli underneath. But as you mentioned, good pursuit on the part of the Notre Dame defense.
They call it a pickup of 3. It will be 2nd down, 7 on the score.
Somebody that my father would refer to as a little scamp. He said this little scamp gets open, does a good job of putting that little body in between Bobby Taylor and the football. 5'10", 180 pounds, gets in the way of 6'3", 210 to make the catch, and another first down for Brigham Young.
Second time today that Johnston has just shaded Bobby Taylor in a personal battle. The other was the big block that Johnston threw near the goal line on top of Spring Willis for BYU's first touchdown. Precipitated it, set up now at the 22. And the whistle blows as Paulus comes away from center. There's Hamilton on the sideline. Here's Bill McCabe.
Now, what does that say about how discombobulated the offense is? Big turnover, you come over to the other side, and you get a penalty.
Here's a quote.
Good ball foul. False start.
2 days ago.
5-yard
It speaks volumes about the amount of pressure that exists for the Irish and for a player like Paulus. We won't be loose Saturday. We'll be uptight. We need to win the rest of our games just to show we can play football. I didn't think I'd lose 2 games in my whole career.
just going to class and having some fun, right, Jim? No pressure in college football.
College football. Paulus gives to Lee Becton. Experienced tailback in this situation, and Becton has a couple before Muirbrook and Pollock make the stop. John Dockery on the sideline. What do you got?
You know, Jim, during that last break when the offense was on the sideline, Lou Holtz did something very uncharacteristic. He came over to talk with Coach Moore, the offensive line coach, and the offensive line of the Irish, and exhorted them to take over the line of scrimmage and start dominating. Obviously, that's the biggest problem, and Lou Holtz knows it.
Second down, 12 with a gain of 3 by Becton on first and 15. 47 to go.
Stafford for the first down.
Catch for 60 yards for Charles Stafford. A lot of playing time today in the absence of number 6, Mike Miller, out with a bad back. That has affected the Irish, both in the receiving and the kick returning categories. First down, 10. Thrown underneath top, and it's Notre for Paulus. He gives this time to Randy Kinder, and Kinder is met and dropped by Randy Brock, who has had a whale of a day at defensive end for BYU.
He certainly has. That's his 4th tackle for loss. He just pushes McGlynn into the backfield, and Kinder runs right into him.
6'6", 250-pound senior from Rexburg, Iowa. Kinder, 21 carries, now for 82 yards. He got 41 for the touchdown jaunt. Paulus looking at second down, 14.
Some composure here because there's some people in his face. Rolls back, and there's Brock right on top of him, but he gets the ball and delivers it right on the money. Steele not in bad coverage, but Paulus puts it where only the receiver could get it.
Well, when they get that much time against man coverage, the great throwers are going to put something out.
And Mitchell, the fastest of the Cougars, able to push him out, but not before he's inside the 20.
36-yard gain for Edwards. If Derek Mays could have gotten that block on Mitchell, he'd have had a touchdown. Mays managed to make the safety stop. So they go on first and 10 from the 18. And Edwards is down to the 15-yard line before Jamie Cook makes the stop for BYU.
Well, the running backs for Notre Dame have an amazing average per carry. Ray Zeller's normally the starting fullback, nearly 8 yards, but that goes all the way down there. Edwards, after that run, now 10 carries for 72 yards, but he was 6.5 coming into this game. And Jim, when you look at a graphic like that, you ask yourself the question, why do you need to pass at all?
And yet, their number of rushing touchdowns is way down this year. In the end zone, and both recovered.
Again, I find that curious. I say in this situation, you're inside the 20, stop Edwards. Make us change our offensive game plan. Why do we go to a play-action pass and roll out when it seems like every time we're handing the ball, we just mentioned the average per carry. Why in that situation you want to roll out and throw?
Notre Dame with only one remaining timeout. 7.5 minutes to go. They're down 7. Scoreboard tells the story in South Bend. We're getting ready for third down. 7 yards to go. Notre Dame football at the BYU 15. Cougars lead 21-14. We mentioned rushing touchdowns per game way down this year for Notre Dame as they have gone more to the pass as the scoring weapon.
Well, they have this is the first time in, I believe, either their history or in a very long time that they have the opportunity to score more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdowns. And there it is.
Today they've had 2 touchdowns. One a pass from Paulus to Mays. One a 41-yard touchdown run by Randy Kinder, which came on the first possession of the game. Now here is the big scoring opportunity of the fourth quarter. They're down 7. Stafford and Mays go to the top of the screen. Eccles and Benton. BYU showing overthrow. He had Stafford for a moment after successfully getting away from pressure, but couldn't hit it.
You all right?
The back pedal reminded me a little of Marino trying to avoid the rush. And here again the situation, the lack of confidence in the kicking game. They're going to go for it now on 4th and 7.
No, they're going to bring the field goal to trial.
Well, this makes sense, and the reason I was about to question that, is that they're going to have to kick the field goal anyway for the win, or else think to themselves that if they do score, they can score the 2-point conversion.
Stefan Schrockner was 5 of 6 coming into the game. He's long 33 yards. This attempt 32. So right in the Schrockner's range. And it is wide to the left. And the Irish are unable to score off a possession that had all the elements of a potential comeback drive. Suddenly, the Notre Dame sideline wears a crestfallen look.
Well, they don't come with the blitz. They come with 4 rushers. They backpedal into the end zone. Paulus does a good job of buying time, but he finally just has to throw it completely out of the end zone. Now on the sidelines, they have to make the big decision. What do we need to do? Well, we do need to score twice, so we've got to get a field goal sometime, but this time wasn't it, as it goes wide left.
First down for BYU. It's Jamal Willis with the football. The heart of the BYU running game has a couple before Oliver Gibson makes the stop.
Now here's an interesting point, Jim, where the 2-point conversion plays with your mind. You're thinking to yourself that, hey, maybe if we score the touchdown, we don't want to put it all on this one situation, this 1-2-point conversion. So Lou is thinking about that, saying, okay, well, we don't want to do that. Then we'll kick the field goal and come back. And clearly now, you know he's second guessing himself.
Next time, they'll have no choice. Second down, 8 after the gain of 2 on first down. Passing, he throws to Willis in the flat, short of the first down at about the 26-yard line.
Flag is down.
Give me ball. Give me ball.
Initial indication against BYU. That's Ron Paulus on the sideline, surrounded by a large enough group to call a brain trust.
Illegal procedure. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty against the offense. Repeat the second down.
You know, we sit here, we talk about Paulus and all the pressure he's under, but let's not forget, Jim, Paulus doesn't block. Paulus doesn't play on the defensive line. Paulus isn't in the secondary. Paulus doesn't kick field goals. There are a lot of things that have gone wrong with Notre Dame today, not just number 3.
Second down, 13. Good throw to Bryce Doman, and Doman has a big play across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Brian McGee making the stop for Notre Dame.
The throw that is the measure of great throwers in the professional ranks is the deep comeback. They always ask the question, does he have the arm to throw the deep comeback? Clearly, John Walsh does. Watch Doman come down the field, look like an up, break back. This is a throw about 45 yards across his body, right on the chest between the ones. John Walsh showing a lot of poise and a gun for an arm.
And the senior out of Salt City. Bryce Dolan, hungry for big plays after being injured for much of the season, has one there. Ball's at the 46-yard line. 29 yards. Initial screaming, white. It's going to wind up being a 7-yard gain.
Now you ask yourself the question, if you're the offensive cognoscenti of Brigham Young, okay, these are our starters, Mooley and Willis. Now they both fumbled. Do we go with second string guys and just try and hold the ball a little bit, or do we stay with, or as Bump Phillips used to say, do we dance with who brung us? Good strip of the ball there by Ronaldo Wynn. But fortunately for the Cougars and unfortunately for Notre Dame, I believe that was Edwards once again on top of the ball. He was the one who recovered the fumble earlier.
This time, no such luck. Second down, 7. Really James in the play. Has first down. Across the 45 to about the 42. Alton Maiden made the stop to Notre Dame. And as Walsh changed that play, Todd, he did so in a quiet stadium with no impediment.
And that's a very good point, Jim, but something that you and I were talking about at the break, which is very impressive with regards to John Walsh, is the fact that clearly this has not been his best day statistically. He's had some drop balls, he's had some people in his face, but the poise that he has shown today in directing the offense, the number of tremendous audibles that he has had, and the great throws that he's had to have in specific times, he has made them.
Some pro-scouting services now suggesting that John Walsh could be the to come out. He gives it in to Willis, and Willis is likely to wind up in the NFL at some point. This time he's stopped short of the first down.
The other thing with regards to John Walsh, when you mention that, is that the rap against him up to this point has been, sure, he piled up a lot of numbers, yards, touchdowns, but he had yet to win the big game. If Brigham Young can hold on here now with 4:05 and the clock running, he would certainly put that to rest.
Clock running under 4 minutes now. Lots of run on first down by Willis. Second down, 11. Drags tacklers toward the chain. Travis Davis, or check it, Brian McGee and LaRon Moore were the ones who took the ride.
Again, the composure. Watch the blitz. They're going to come with 7 people right in the middle. Walsh sees it. So does Mealy, who sets right down to get the ball and breaks through some tacklers to get what appeared from my vantage point to be a first down, but he didn't get the spot. So now they're set up third and very short at the 32.
As he reached for the chain, Mealy put the football out near the 30-yard line, but they spotted it back at the 32. So it's third down.
Notre Dame's got to set up here, Jim. They've got to stop this.
Willis breaks through the seam and has the first down near the Notre Dame 25.
Brigham Young is now approaching 100 yards rushing, and I think that this is the big surprise. I don't think anybody anticipated that Brigham Young would be able to run the ball this effectively, particularly in the second half. Jamal Willis, outstanding job.
Well, it is the fourth quarter, and the BYU offensive front goes 280, 285, 275, 293, 35 with a couple of 350-pound backups. It doesn't strike me as odd that you would get a little tired playing against the Cougars.
I don't think there's any doubt about it, but at the same time, there are 300-pound players. It's just clear that last week against Boston College, the offensive line of the opposing team was taking control.
Willis dropped this time on an excellent reaction by number 93, Paul Grasmanis.
Well, Jamal Willis cut back a little bit too soon there. He should have stayed with his blockers back to the outside.
Second down, 9. Clock running down toward 2 minutes. Lou Holtz and the Irish staring at 3 losses in a season and an earlier juncture than any time since Holtz arrived here in 1986.
Another problem for Notre Dame there, Jim, is that because they had to take the timeouts away, they only had 1 left.
To the outside. Flag goes down as Haimuli is dropped.
They're going to have Doman for holding, it appears, on that play. Haimuli did a smart thing there. Normally you try and get the extra yard and get to the outside and you go out of bounds, but he saw that that wasn't the case.
BYU took over with 7:15 to go, as you see the preliminary call from Bill McCabe. With selective passing by Walsh and the running game, they've eaten up 5.5 minutes of possession here.
Well, the big issue here, Jim, is not so much the loss of 10 yards, but the fact that it stopped the clock. Bryce Doman gets called for the hold. Haimuli does the smart thing and stays in bounds, but it's all for naught because now the clock stops with the penalty.
Notre Dame had 2 big chances in the second half. They took it down to the BYU 3 in the third quarter. Ron Paulus was sacked back at the 22, and then the 29-yard or 39-yard field goal was blocked.
An illegal block above the 10-yard penalty against the offense. Repeat the second down.
And then most recently, when the Irish got into the red zone, they elected again to go for the field goal and missed it.
Watch the left of your screen. Bryce Doman is going to come in. As I mentioned, Haimuli stays in bounds. Now watch, Bobby Taylor beats him. Now he's going to push him in the back. And that's what the official call right there is, the push in the back on Bobby Taylor.
1 minute 47 seconds remaining. Second down, 18. Football at the 33-yard line for BYU. And the 22 with the football is Mark Actuaya, and the backup fullback fumbles it. And it is Notre Dame ball. Goheen and Gibson were both there. It's Justin Goheen who gets up with the big scare.
Jim, you have to ask yourself the question, something that you and I debated earlier. The man does not have a carry on there. He hasn't played at all. Now all of a sudden he comes in, his hands are cold. He hasn't done anything. As a result, Notre Dame gets the turnover.
It is the first carry of the day for Actuaya. It becomes a turnover to Notre Dame, and now number 11, Tom Crew, comes onto the field, the quarterback of the Irish in this situation. Crew, the sophomore out of Los Gatos, California, relieves Ron Paulus with the game on the line. Minute 36 to go. Crew throws down the middle to McBride. And the huge Irish tight end is across the field in the 42 and 19-yard pickup. Clock temporarily stopped as the Irish scramble to get into position to run another play.
The Cougars have to be careful here. The thing that has set them apart defensively here in the second half has been their aggressiveness. Now they're going to prevent defense. This is easy to pick apart.
In the loose zone, they give up space to Mays, and he's across midfield to the 48. Long stop to move the chain. Now it will roll again as the Irish get into position. First down again. And this one is almost intercepted as he tried for Mays in the flat. Quickly to John Dockery.
You know what happened? That's Ron Paulus. You can probably see him on the sideline here. What happened to him? Jimmy got popped. He got dizzy. He was disoriented on the sidelines. They tried to bring him back. He was groggy. The doctor said, no way you can go back in the game. Back to you.
Doc, that's good to know because we're questioning as to why they took him out. He had thrown for 211 yards. And certainly, as I mentioned earlier, it wasn't his fault as to why the struggles have been occurring for Notre Dame. But, man, what an opportunity for Cruz to come to a thing like this.
Unbelievable. Second down 10 from the 47-yard line. Jackson is in a slot. As is one setback. Brian flat to the bottom of the screen. Crew is looking at the same receiver all the way. It's Mays. Tries to knock the defender down. Gets away with no flag, and it'll be an incompletion.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jim. I thought that Mays should have been flagged for the offensive PI there. Trying to prevent the interception in good coverage there. Steele much maligned today. There he pushes him out of the way, grabs his arm, but the official opted for the no call.
First down the line is what you might call the luck of the Irish. He's there downtown.
Now notice too, when you screen the head checks are coming up, they're not going to prevent anymore.
Down the middle. Couldn't get it to Stafford, who was wide open in the middle of the BYU zone. Greg Pitts, number 99, was the man who put the pressure on Crew. Fourth down 10.
to be effective, and he found McBride earlier, but of course McBride is on the field now with a 3-wide situation.
To the top of the screen. Mays for the mark. Mays is the intended receiver, and it's broken up. John Pollock was there to make the hit on Derek Mays as Tom Krug tried to get the football to Notre Dame's big play receiver on 4th and 10 and couldn't do it.
Ken Schmidt decided that they didn't want to go with a prevent defense. They go with a match 'em zone, man-for-man coverage, though, with a one-man, and that happens to be Mays. 3 Cougars around him. Even if the throw is good, he's probably not going to have it. I've known that man now for over 20 years. I have never seen him show that level of emotion. 23rd year in coaching, his 203rd victory. That one has to be right up there with one of his most favorites of all time.
This was Lou Holtz's reaction to 4th down 10 as he says, second week in a row I can take this headset off. And just to repeat the editorial point with which we began the day, in 23 years as head coach at Brigham Young, LaVell Edwards told our Todd Christensen the other night he had never played an opponent 3 times without getting a win. That precedent stays in place. Chevy MVPs of today's game, Jamal Willis for BYU, Randy Kinder for Notre Dame. Kinder had the 41-yard touchdown run. Willis, a touchdown rushing, a touchdown receiving for the Cougars. And several other big plays as well.
Jim, I don't think it was so much the touchdowns that he scored, obviously, but some of the big runs that he had, particularly on 3rd downs, that he came through big clutch 1st downs.
So today's genuine Chevrolet players of the game are Jamal Willis from BYU and Randy Kinder from Notre Dame. In conjunction with the program, Chevy contributes $2,000 to the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators for disbursement to deserving college students so that they may continue their education.
One thing that we neglected to mention earlier in the broadcast, for the first time in the history of the WAC conference, they have 3 teams in the top 25, depending on the poll that you care to look at. People remember last week, Colorado State, member of the WAC, went down to Arizona, spanked Desert Swarm down there in Tucson. Utah, I believe, is ranked either 16th or 18th in the nation as well. And so the WAC conference, we've been past, has been considered a weak sister, now is asserting itself.
Conference has an overall winning record this season against 10 teams. Here, as you say, is yet another market distinction. Certainly BYU's ranking is going to go up next week. And as for the Irish, they find themselves in a new situation during Lou Holtz's tenure here.
Another point, too, to be made here, Jim. In the last 12 games against non-conference opponents on the road, BYU has not had a victory. Now, for the first time in 13 games, they do.
And the flag goes down here with 22 seconds remaining. Notre Dame out of timeouts. BYU trailed at halftime 14-13. The only touchdown of the second half was a 1-yard leap over the top by Jamal Willis. It was a poised offensive performance in the second half, keyed by the play of quarterback John Walsh and Willis.
And lest we forget, Jim, the BYU defense last year took a lot of abuse. They had games last year, points of 45, 47, and 56, and they lost those 3 games.
Win this one, and we're going to take you down to John Dockery.
Where does it rank in all the victories you
I don't know. Right now, pretty high.
I can see that, Coach.
Yeah,
congratulations on a huge win for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pretty low-key guy, Todd.
Oh, man. You got to be happy for him, though. A real class act.
They play again starting in 2003, but for the moment, this concludes the 3-game series between Notre Dame and BYU, and for the moment, the Irish are happy. Now stay tuned for the Skills Challenge presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. For Todd Christensen and John Dockery, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from Notre Dame. Once again, the final score here. Brigham Young upsets the Irish 21-14 in South Bend.